The following is a pre-recorded show. Welcome to Winning in Retirement with your host, Brian Akers, certified financial planner professional and founder of Akers Financial Group. Now, helping you win in your retirement, here's Brian Akers.
Hello, I'm Brian Akers from Akers Financial Group, and we welcome you to Winning in Retirement. I'm a certified financial planner practitioner, and also is Alex Monk, who is with me today. Good morning, Alex Monk.
Good morning, Brian. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay. So you've been working in financial services with me for almost 10 years now. You're a CFP, got all the licenses, and you've been working with a lot of clients. And I'm glad that you are one of the leaders of our investment committee. So you got a lot of different jobs at Akers Financial Group. What's your favorite job?
Oh, man. It depends on the day, Brian. I mean, there's so many different aspects of finance. It all gets me a little jacked up. I'll tell you what, it's fun.
All right. So the reason I wanted to ask him that question is that we sort of turned the poll back in June 30th for the middle of the year. So we're sitting here at the end of July, and we want to cover this, a mid-year retirement review. And that's our topic for today, is mid-year retirement review. Last week, we had an investment review with Mark DiOrio from Brookstone Capital Management. That show is on our website at akersfinancialgroup.com. You go to Akers Financial, A-K-E-R-S, financialgroup.com. Go there and you can listen to last week's show on the investments. But today is about mid-year retirement review, and we feel like this show is going to bring the information you need to think about your own retirement. And then what we offer is for you to meet with one of the team of advisors to talk about your exact situation and how to affect what's going on right now to your portfolio and to your retirement plan. All right, Alex, so mid-year retirement review, I thought we'd just start. You and I have a little talk here in the first quarter. That sound okay with you?
Absolutely, Brian. If you ask my wife, she'd say I'm full of hot air anyway, so let's get chatty.
Let's get chatty. All right, so do you have a favorite topic here at the mid-year that you'd like to talk about first?
So mid-year review. You know, we at Akers, we review with our clients at least once, twice a year. And I bet you there's people listening that are like, wait, you review your retirement multiple times a year? And yeah, we do, because it's a big deal. I mean, that's the rest of your life potentially. So we take it very serious, and we think that people should spend the time to check and mark themselves against goals they've set. Because how do you know where you're going if you don't have a map or a plan?
Yeah, absolutely. And the hard part with having a plan, and the reason we need to meet once a year, twice a year, or more, depending on if it's their actual retirement year, and that is that we have things that change. The rules change, the laws change. And so what we'll do here at the beginning is sort of talk a little bit about a couple of things that have changed. Back in 2020, there was this rule that came out before the COVID unpleasantness started. So January of 2020, the Secure Act of 2020 did a few things that affected retirement planning. The first thing it did, which was a positive, is that it made required minimum distributions age 72 rather than 70 and a half. And so that allow people to wait a little bit longer before they must take out of all of their retirement accounts. The second part of that rule, which is the negative part, is it changed what beneficiaries can do for anyone that dies in 2020 or later, and the fact that they took away the ability for the beneficiary to stretch retirement money over a lifetime and pay tax over a lifetime. Now they have to do it within a 10-year period, unless there are some certain exceptions. But generally, like if your kids receive your IRA after you pass away, they'll have 10 years to take the tax out. So the Secure Act had a bunch of different features, but those are two of the features that I really want to pinpoint out there, because it's more of a reality this year, because there's a lot of things that have happened that we need to try to explain to people.
Right. So this year you actually have to take your RMDs. So I guess last year was 2020 allegedly, when the COVID hit, and they said, hey, for this year we don't need to take RMDs. Well, it's back, and the market's up. So some of the numbers that people have to take out are big. And you know what? Just like you said earlier, they give you something and they take it away. But it sounds to me like the government is letting people keep money deferred longer so that when it passes, there's potentially more money for their kids or whoever inherits it to draw out faster. So that's, one of the big things about retirement planning is we want the money to work for you and however you want it, not for your kids, unless that's your goal. And that's a fine goal, but they're going to try to get extra tax revenue. So we need to be conscious of where's our tax rate? How much do we have to take out? When are we doing it, etc.
Yeah, so that led to some planning that I've had to do with a lot of people is the fact that their 2020 taxes, a lot of people got a lot of big refunds. And so some of the accountants have said, oh, won't you change your withholdings because you got this refund? And then the reality is that they're over 72 and their income's going to go right back up this year because of the required minimum distribution from a IRA retirement accounts has to come out, so they go right back to where they were, and there's no stimulus money in the calculation. So be careful if you're changing your withholding this year based on your 2020 taxes. That is something that you need to review so you can fix it right now, because you got about 5 months left in the year to make sure you have enough withholding. And that's extremely important planning feature, is that you're not surprised when it comes to 2021 taxes.
And some other changes that they've been making, Brian, is this advanced child tax credit. And that's not the Secure Act, but that's just happened, this month? Yeah. So if someone's out there and you qualify for this child tax credit, you have the option to get it sent to you monthly. In that case, it is what it is. But just know, at the end of the year, your tax returns aren't going to be padded by these extra credits because you've already gotten them. So you got to check the withholdings.
Right. So I guess that child tax credit, nothing's really new except that they bumped it up a little higher by about $1,000. So there was a $2,000 tax credit, and that was on your last year's tax return. And then this year they're raising that to $3,000 if your child's over 6 years old to 17. If your child's under that, I believe the credit is $3,600. And so what's happening is for one child, they're going to give $300 a month starting here in July. But basically what you're getting is that child credit early. So if you used to get the child tax credit, so let's say you had very little income, but you had multiple children, you would get a refund as soon as you filed for the full tax credit, like a big bonus all at one time. So what's going to happen is instead of getting that in one lump sum, you're going to actually have it come to you monthly. That means the more and more income you make with a child tax credit, you might actually owe because you pre-received your refund. So it's not really giving you extra money, except for they bumped up the credit by about $1,000. So it's $1,000 more credit per child.
And that's a good thing, Brian, because everyone's going to save that $300 a month and invest it for their future. So it won't be a big deal at the end of the year when they come time to pay the taxes, right?
No, that money's gone. If you have kids, the money's gone. So I guess what happens is this, is that we highly recommend that if you have income that you're offsetting with child tax credits, that you turn off that monthly and just accept the tax credit at tax time so that you can have your balance your taxes out and you don't have a surprise where you owe. I mean, the dream world in taxes is to get zero, right? Is owe zero and get refunded zero. Isn't that right, Alex?
Yep, or maybe owe just a little bit. So that way they're not holding on to your money for an extended period of time, not paying you interest. And, if you're out there, you're listening to this and you're like, well, I got kids, they're young. I'm not ready to start planning for retirement. That's the wrong mindset. We don't want you to get that. We want you to start right away. The sooner you start, the easier it gets. And things become habits. And you regularly check and look into things. You know where your money is. And if you don't want to do it, that's perfect. Come see us. That is what we do. That's what I love to do. It's like putting together a puzzle for me. I absolutely love showing people how to save money, how to grow their wealth, how to do so many different things, because they don't teach you this stuff anywhere unless you go to school for it. And I feel like it's our duty to share it.
Right. So retirement planning, and when we're thinking about this mid-year review, is that there's a lot of people retiring this summer into this fall because of they are taking a look at their assets, looking where they are, and they're like, I had some free time over the last year, and I enjoyed it. I want to go ahead and retire. And so the retirement planning, where you put together the numbers, where's money going to come from? How do you allocate? How do you invest? How do you do this? That is really what this mid-year review is all about. Is we're going to tell some stories about taxes and what we see now, what we see coming. We're going to talk about inflation. We're going to talk about how you plan through a volatile market to understand where your money is and make sure you make the wise decisions for you and your family. So in this beginning phase, we're talking a little bit about what's actually happened so far. And we've talked about the child tax credit and the Secure Act, because those are big changes that people weren't quite ready for, and they're not sure what to do. Now, is there a website on the child tax credit that people can go to and make changes?
So you can go right to the government or the IRS.gov and click on credits and on the top bar, and it'll take you to the child tax credit, and it has a general FAQ. It has an eligibility checker. I mean, you can sign up for it right there. You'll probably get the money by the end of the week.
Yeah. I guess the last question I have for you, Alex, is some people are owed refunds. Is there a thing on the IRS site also they can check a status?
Yeah, so it's been a weird year because, as you said earlier, there's rebate recovery and all that stuff from COVID. So you can go to Check My Return. You just need to know your personal information, and it's not uncommon this year for them to be holding on to things a little longer.
Well, this show today is the mid-year retirement review, and we're going to hit you with a lot of ideas and thoughts about what we've been talking to our clients about. What we'd like to recommend to you is this. So we want you to just close your eyes and think about retirement. We want retirement where the biggest worry of your day is where you're going to drink your morning cup of coffee, where every day seems like a Saturday, free of the stress. Your retirement income investments are taken care of by Acres Financial Group. This is the future you might want. It's not too late. We'd love to provide a peaceful retirement for you. Just give us a call for that free initial appointment at 833-WIN-RETIRE. That's 833-WIN-RETIRE. When you call, leave us a voice message, and Susan will call you back on Monday to schedule a phone meeting, virtual Zoom, or an in-person meeting with one of our team of advisors. Start planning for your retirement now. Call us at 833-946-7384 or visit acresfinancialgroup.com. Are you prepared for higher taxes in your future? We will explain in the second quarter.
You're listening to a pre-recorded show. Welcome back to Winning in Retirement. Call 833-WIN-RETIRE now to schedule a visit with Brian and his team and begin winning in retirement. Once again, here's Brian Akers.
Hey, welcome back to Winning in Retirement. I'm Brian Akers, and here with me today is Alex Monk. We're both certified financial planner practitioners from Acres Financial Group, and today's show is called the Mid-Year Retirement Review. What we're trying to do is cover retirement thoughts, things that are changing, the things that people need to think about right now. So this segment is all about this question. Alex, are you ready for this question?
Hit me with it.
All right, so the question is general, but it's, are you prepared for higher taxes in your future? Now our job is to try to explain that.
Thanks for teaming me up there, Brian. I talk about this all the time because it's a hot button right now, right? There's a lot of stuff going on, and when things happen where there's money printed, et cetera, the way to pay for that is higher taxes. Now, we're in a really nice period of low tax rates historically right now. Their tax laws have changed, and they're going to change back. And that's one of your favorite topics, isn't it, Brian?
Absolutely. I call it 5 years to sunset. And I'm not sure if anybody knows what that means, but in 2018, there's a tax law change for personal taxes. And that law actually sunsets and goes back to the 2017 tax law. And that's in January of 2026. So that means that if you're enjoying the 12% tax bracket, it's going to jump up to 15%. If you're enjoying the 22% bracket, it's going to jump to 25%. If you're enjoying the 24% bracket, it'll be 28%. And then it keeps going all the way up. It will end up being back to 39.6 plus tax brackets in the near future. And then, so this law we have right now is going to sunset automatically, let alone any other possible changes that might come down. So the idea is this: if this is the lowest taxes we'll see in a lifetime, should we consider some tax planning in 2021? So this is an important topic for all clients to consider on what they're doing this year and what amount of taxes they're paying in 2021.
You know, and a lot of the 401k plans out there, most people may not know this, but there's Roth IRA options in there. So what that means is you can put your money in through your payroll, but pay the tax first. And I agree with you, Brian. I think we are in a tax holiday, if you will. We have, you know, things are discounted. Why not pay some of it now? And really, it's about finding out where your income falls. What bracket are you in? Where do you expect your income to go in the future? And how much more income can you show in any given year, especially this one, so that you're prepaying your taxes, essentially. Because when you retire, and if all your money is in, let's say, pre-tax IRAs, the only way to get it out is to pay the tax. So the government's got a big stake in your retirement. By slowly paying them along the way or prepaying them while you have cash flow from work or, you know, a bunch of different scenarios, it gives you better balance in the future. And I think it's going to help preserve a lot of your wealth for future tax rates going up.
It's one idea is to pay tax now and never again. That concept is tied to something called a Roth conversion. Now, Roth contribution is where, based on your income, you can put money away. You can put up to $6,000 if you're younger than age 50. Over age 50, you can put $7,000 if you have earned income into a Roth IRA as a contribution. A Roth conversion is where you pay tax now on IRA money. It converts to a Roth IRA, and then it will grow tax-free until the date you need to pull that money out, if it's for you or for your beneficiaries. So a Roth conversion, have you had any cases like that this year?
Oh, yeah. I love Roth conversions. We do them all the time. One of the big things that a lot of people miss is how to pay the taxes. So on that conversion, you will have the option to withhold taxes, but we don't want to do that. We want to have the cash outside of the retirement plan somewhere so that we can keep all the money that we convert in that Roth IRA. So when you do this, you really need to make sure, where am I going to have the money to pay these taxes at the end of the year? Because you're going to need to make estimated payments or something along the way, unless there's a circumstance where, you know, you have some type of offsetting loss or whatever it may be. But you do not want to take the taxes out of the money you convert. The math doesn't work out for you.
And that's especially true if you're going to need that money out of Roth, because you're basically eating it away with taxes, and then if you don't have the cash. So generally, a Roth conversion, we look at a scenario on purpose of money. If that purpose of money is a legacy to get a beneficiary, a Roth conversion might work. If you're in a lower tax bracket now than you might be when the RMDs hit, that might be a perfect time. If you're retiring and you're going to live off some cash and not Social Security for a little while, and you have some really low tax years, why not fill up your bracket that you're currently in, 12, 22, or 24%, and pay tax on money now at those rates and never again? So I've had some cases, and what I'm telling them to do is we're going to watch the volatility of the market. And sometime in the next 5 months, we're going to work on our conversions where we can convert a certain dollar amount that'll max out a bracket. And what will happen is when we do that, we'll try to get it when the market's down 5-10% or more, and then let the market come back up inside the Roth. So that's sort of a little quick idea. I didn't give a lot of detail or a lot of explanation of what I just said. Maybe you can interpret some of my wording there.
So what you're talking about there is finding an asset that you like, that you want to keep. And hopefully you can time it to where the market has discounted it or it's traded down a little bit, but it's still something that you ultimately want to own. So what you do is you convert that while it's depressed and pay the tax then, knowing that you're going to hold it, and hopefully the market comes back and it runs up, so you kind of get a discount on your taxes just by having fortunate timing or patience or what I would call a plan.
So when someone's converting, what kind of process do you go to and try to help them understand their options?
Well, what I'll do is I'll start with last year's tax return. And I'll say, okay, was there anything that happened last year that's out of the ordinary? And they either say yes or no. And then we figure out where's our income going to be this year. And that's just a pretty easy math equation when you get a current pay stub and you can calculate what the withholdings will be and about what their income will be. So you'll have a pretty decent idea about this time of year or a little bit later of what the total income is going to be. So I look for those numbers and I show people, okay, here's where you're at on this stair step of taxes. Because the tax brackets, they go up as steps. They don't retroactive on all your other income. So as you go up, it's a staggered tax bracket. So whatever step we're on, we're going to want to fill that up. If that's a bracket that is desirable or it's somewhere we want to be compared to where we're going to be in the future. Like you said earlier, this is a awesome scenario for somebody that hasn't drawn Social Security yet, but they're retired. That is a great scenario. So you can essentially levelize your taxation before things coming in the future, which are higher taxes through the sunset you talked about, Brian, RMDs at age 72, and Social Security. So those are things that we know for a fact are going to happen. That means now is when we need to start taking some money out, paying the taxes, even if we don't need it, just to levelize over the lifetime of your retirement or your life.
Absolutely. I got a couple quick questions to ask you, and I'm just going to throw them at you, and then you give me a quick answer. All right, so that's Roth conversion, but I want to talk about Roth conversion at your work plan. Let's say there's a younger person. Let's say the question I have for you, Alex, is how young should someone be to consider a Roth 401k or a Roth for TSP? How young should someone start, or how old should someone consider Roth? What's your thoughts?
It's different for everybody, but typically if you have 5 or more years out from retirement, Roth would be a good idea, at least to get it started. And there's a 5-year rule that you have to wait and keep this account open, so we meet that hurdle, and that way the money is accessible if you do retire in 5 years. But generally, earlier the better.
I think that's an excellent answer. So the advice in this quarter we've given so far is look at Roth conversion. Does it work for you? We can help. The second thing is this, Roth contribution. You can do that at work. If you're doing pre-tax now, you're going to pay tax in your future. We think rates are going to be higher in our future. Why not do Roth at work on the employee contribution side? Any matching is going to go in pre-tax, so you're going to have some pre-tax money down the road. Why not change that now? That'll affect their paycheck, right, Alex?
Absolutely. Now, your paycheck may change a little bit when you do that, but the mindset that you need to have when you do tax planning is if the market goes down significantly, look at that as an opportunity to pay the tax on discounted assets. And you would just call your 401k provider, finally get a customer service rep on the phone, hopefully, and say, I want to do an in-plan conversion. And they'll say, hold on, let me put you on hold. I don't know what that is. And I'm going to go find someone that does. And that's when you'll have to call us so we can help you walk them through it. Because they're not going to give you advice. And that's what we do.
All right, so here in the tax section of their show today, our mid-year retirement review is this. Consider that taxes are historically low in 2021. We think you should consider paying some tax now, taking some income this year to be able to pay the lower taxes. Taxes will definitely change in 5 years, but could possibly change sooner. So this kind of planning is what makes your money build and grow and builds more money for you to retire on in your future. Now, Acres Financial Group, we are local, we're independent. We don't report to a big company on Wall Street. We report to you. We have offices in Forest Hill and Lutherville, but we work with clients all around the country. This is all about your retirement, but not about us. We want you to begin winning in retirement. So go ahead and call Acres Financial Group to schedule your free meeting with one of our team of advisors. Give us a call at 833-WIN-RETIRE. That's 833-WINRETIRE. When you call, leave us a voice message. Susan will call you back on Monday to set up an in-person meeting or a virtual Zoom meeting with one of the team of advisors. Start planning for your retirement now. Give us a call at 833-946-7384 or visit acresfinancialgroup.com. Will inflation deflate your retirement? We'll talk about that in the second half.
You're listening to a pre-recorded show. Welcome back to Winning in Retirement. Call 833-WIN-RETIRE now to schedule a visit with Brian and his team and begin winning in retirement. Once again, here's Brian Akers.
Welcome back to the second half of Winning in Retirement. I'm your host, Brian Akers, president and founder of Acres Financial Group. And here with me today is Alex Monk, a certified financial planner practitioner. Acres Financial Group, if you can go to our website at acresfinancialgroup.com, you can check out last week's radio show, which was our mid-year market review. Today is our mid-year retirement review. So what we're talking about is the major topics of retirement and retirement planning in 2021 and things you need to think about for you and your own retirement plan, and then make some changes like that apply to you. And we only know what applies to you if you take advantage of that free opportunity to meet with one of our team of advisors. All right, Alex, we'll start here in the second half with this question. Will inflation deflate your retirement? What's your thoughts, Alex?
Man, I've been waiting for this one all week, Brian. This just screams Deflategate. But I'm going to avoid it and talk about inflation. Because inflation is here, they're saying. They say it's here. There's rumors that they're going to increase Social Security payments almost, 5-6%. So what does that mean if there's inflation? It means our purchasing power has gone down. So when our purchasing power goes down, those same dollars, they look the same, they feel the same, they're still worth $1. But if $1 buys you half of what it used to, that is inflation. So as the government prints money, if there's a uncapped supply of dollars out there and there's a limited number of assets or places for this money to go, as those extra dollars go these places, their value will rise and the dollar, its strength will fall down. Now, right now, we're not seeing the dollar show signs of weakness because everywhere around the world, they're doing the same thing. So it's very misleading if you look at the strength of the dollar. That's good, I guess, for us overall internationally, but we're really feeling it here at home when you go to the store and it's like, it's how much? Every time I check out somewhere now, Brian, I double take and I say, wait, that's how much now? It's crazy.
Yeah, it makes me think about a lot of questions to ask you. So I hope you're ready for a bunch of questions. So the first thing, I think you mentioned that Social Security is a possibility of them raising their cost of living, but I think you also mentioned to me the other day about the VA benefit has gone up already. That's what I've heard, 6.1%. Wow. So these are some of the biggest increases we've seen in 20-some years. And so that's why it's a big deal when it comes to your retirement planning and why it's a big part of the mid-year retirement review. Imagine you've been retired 5, 10, 20 years, and the cost of things have been about the same. You haven't had to take out extra money because there wasn't required to meet your monthly bills. The true cost of living affects your pocketbook. It affects you to a point where you have to take more money out to pay your normal bills. In retirement, our biggest bills are taxes and insurance. Those are our two biggest bills. And then the rest of it is how we live our life, discretionary, or our trips or not trips, or what we do, what we give. All of that ties into our budget planning. But inflation is a big deal when you think about your money over a lifetime. Because inflation just doesn't happen one year. It builds on top of itself over the next 15 to 20 years into people's retirements.
Yeah, and when you lose purchasing power, you don't really see it as it first starts. But like you said, Brian, it slowly creeps up. And the way that inflation works, it's like a compounding effect. So if you have it one year, it's not like we're going to go all the way back the next year and things will be cheaper. It's just not going to happen. And if you're on a fixed income, there's not a whole lot that you can do. So you have to have assets saved that are set to grow with inflation so that your income can escalate. Who knows what Medicare is going to do this year, but I can almost bet they got their eyes set on some of that 6% or whatever the increase will be. So,
absolutely. All right, so when I think about inflation might be done in a different way at your store. If you think about, you buy a bag of coffee. Now, a bag of coffee used to weigh a pound. It was a pound of coffee for a set price. Has anyone noticed that that bag of coffee is now only 12 ounces, yet the price is about the same? That's inflation. And that's just one example of how the prices have changed based on the way they size it out for us.
I mean, take Chipotle, for example. They've raised their prices across the board. And I haven't had a burrito bowl that was full since COVID started. So I don't know what's going on.
All right, so this matters a lot because when we think about things in Maryland for a Maryland retiree, Maryland state employees, teachers, they have inflation limits and caps on their pension. Social Security has been giving raises like 1%. So if inflation really starts to take off, the pension money is not going to keep up over the next decade. And so what happens is there's a gap. And so what younger people need to learn is that Social Security cannot be the only thing for your retirement. The pension that you're building is part of your retirement. It's not the only thing. Typically, a teacher would need to save in three different ways: Social Security, pension through years of service, and also through their work through a 501c3, or in some other government jobs, you can do TSP, you can do 457. But you have to do all three to be able to get enough money to retire on 70 to 80% of your income. You can't just trust the Social Security and pension to keep up for a long retirement.
Right, and the other nasty thing about inflation is when you look at your statements and you say, oh, look at my return numbers, look how high they are. Well, if you do 10% and they say inflation is 6, then your real rate of return is only 4. Because the utilities of your dollar have gone down. So you'll see in times of inflation, assets inflate in price. And that can happen through stocks that are denominated in U.S. dollars. So everything will start rising, but the dollar will stay the same. So if you don't have a savings plan or goals to make a nest egg to compete with this in the long run, you got to start today, immediately.
When you're doing your retirement planning, you need to add inflation into that plan. You need to use a rate close to 4%. We've been using 3.74 for years, which is the 40-year inflation rate. That will help us keep up with rising inflation. Now, Alex, can you explain this, that the federal government is inflating our way out of debt? Can you explain that topic?
I actually can. I can relate that one to myself. So imagine you buy a house, right? And it's maybe your first house, and you have 5-10% down. That's not a good equity position, so you have to have something called mortgage insurance or something like that. Now, let's say we go into a period like we're in today where house prices jump significantly based on supply and demand. That same house is now worth more, so your debt in comparison to the value of your house is lower. So that makes the debt look smaller. It's a better loan to value ratio. And that is kind of what the U.S. government needs in order to get us out of the debt that we're in. Because the tax revenues, they will have to go up eventually, but they're not nearly enough. So the government needs the assets that it owns. They need other assets out in the market to increase in value. It should increase tax revenue, and it will make their debt look a lot better in comparison to the assets.
All right, so what that tries to explain to me is the fact that we'll see inflation, but we might not see higher interest rates. And so that is hard for savers who want to keep their money very low risk, where we see rates in the 1% range, 1.2 on the 10-year Treasury. And so this is sort of like interest rates aren't going up with inflation. It's going to be split, and that's because of this topic.
Exactly. And right now, interest rates technically can't rise too fast, too quickly, or the government will have issues meeting debt payments. So while rates are low on purpose, that should create inflation, and that will help with the way that the debt looks. But the only way to stop inflation is to start raising rates down the road. So it's a very fine line that they're going to try to walk. If I had to bet, inflation probably gets out of hand a little bit if historical things, the way things happen in this country, are true. And then we'll have to raise rates down the road, but it's got to be far enough down the road so that the debt position of the government's manageable.
This kind of talk about what the economy is doing with interest rates, inflation, needs to be applied to what you're doing with your investments. We're going to need to have stocks to be able to counter this throughout our retirement years. We're going to need to have a well-diversified portfolio to handle the situation of keeping up with inflation and having a real rate of return. So when it comes to your retirement planning, this mid-year retirement review is are you properly allocated? Are you ready for inflation with your portfolio the way it's set up? If you have too low a risk, you might not be able to keep up with inflation, and that's going to greatly affect your retirement cash flow. The other thing I want people to think about is this. If you're trying to retire early and your budget is really tight at the beginning, that's not a good sign in a rising inflationary market for retirement. You need to look at, what if prices increase over the next 12 to 16 years and maybe even double? Is there any way you can pay your same bills if they all actually doubled over the next 12 to 16 years? That's a hard thing to look at, but that's what you seriously have to do if you're going to try to retire early. Early to us would be prior to your full retirement age of Social Security, which is around 67 for most people nowadays. We want the best part of your retirement to be getting your time back, where you decide how to use it. Before your retirement, your time is tied up with other commitments, mainly your job. A lot of that goes away when you're retired. Your time is now consumed by things you want to do, a list of things you want to do, or there might be someone else in your house that gives you a list for that. So begin saving for your retirement by giving us a call at 833-WIN-RETIRE. That's 833-WIN-RETIRE. When you call, leave us a voice message, and Susan will call you back on Monday to schedule a phone meeting, a virtual Zoom meeting, or an in-person meeting with one of our team of advisors. Start planning for your retirement now. Call 833-946-7384 or visit acresfinancialgroup.com. What you need to do now to win in retirement. We will talk about the tools you need in the fourth quarter.
You're listening to a pre-recorded show. Welcome back to Winning in Retirement. Call 833-WIN-RETIRE now to schedule a visit with Brian and his team and begin winning in retirement. Once again, here's Brian Akers.
Hey, welcome back to Winning in Retirement. I'm Brian Akers, and here with me today is Alex Monk. We are both experienced certified financial planner practitioners from Akers Financial Group. Today's show has been talking about the mid-year retirement review thoughts on retirement and what's been going on this year and things you need to think about right now to make sure your retirement will last a lifetime and make sure you're doing the best for you and your family. Now, if you haven't been listening since 11 a.m., you can go to our website, and we'll have under our radio tab the recording of this show on that tab by the middle of next week. We also have last week's show, the mid-year market review with myself and Mark Diorio from Brookstone Capital Management. It's an excellent show. It's on our website right now. All right, Monk, we have this thing right here. It's called What You Need to Do Right Now to Win in Retirement, and what kind of tools people need to have.
Now, I think they need to have every tool in the box, but I'm a tool freak, so. But,
that's true.
Retirement should not be a scary thing. It should be something that you work hard for and that you get to enjoy. So some of the things you need to do, and I think the most important, is find out where all your money is. Just look and see, where is everything? Is it all doing what I thought it should do? Is it invested how I think it is? Am I diversified? Because as we're talking during the show, Brian, we've said some crazy things like inflation and a real rate of return. So the scary part for people that are just savers, and let's say you have a CD and your CD is paying you 2%. By some miracle, you got a 2% CD. And if inflation is 6, you're losing 4% in purchasing power. So what appears to be a safe investment is actually a losing investment when it comes to purchasing power. So how do we combat that? We have to have a portfolio that has stocks, that has U.S. stocks, international stocks. We want to have dividends. We want to have hard assets, precious metals, commodities. We need to have all these different things because of the way they react in different market environments. And earlier, this is one of my favorite things that you said, Brian, is you got to have stocks in and throughout your retirement to keep up with inflation. But how much? That's the question.
Yeah, I believe that the amount of stocks is dictated by how much money you have to get out of your investments. The more income you need, the lower risk you really need to take because you're so reliant on what's going on. Now, there comes a point with savers where they've saved so well, they feel guilty spending any money. So that's more of a rare American than a normal American to be a great saver like that. But generally what happens is we have to say, spend some of your money or there's going to be some extra taxes down the road. But generally when you're thinking about retirement and retirement tools, you do got to plan out your budget. You got to know your cash flow. You got to know how your cash flow can escalate if prices go up. That's an important aspect of the financial plan. And then what you do is compare it and see what you can do now to be able to make things work better when it comes to making this retirement last a lifetime.
And I think it needs to be something that you continuously do, right? So every time, if you play the guitar, for example, every time you pick it up, you're going to check and make sure it's in tune. Same thing for your retirement plan. Same thing about going to the doctor. You go to the doctor every year just to make sure things are okay. Why will we not do that for our money? And that's where we help people. I love explaining how money, how finances works, because not a lot of people are trained in this, and it really opens their eyes to what's happening out there, and they get some skin in the game when they start knowing a little bit, and it makes the whole process a lot easier and somewhat enjoyable, at least for me.
Well, it's fun to help a client through the saving years, accumulation years, and then get them ready to retire, then help them reach their retirement dreams, and then you visit with them after retirement, and it's all worked together over a many-year process of being the advisor and truly being their advisor. And I think that's a great way. That's what I enjoy, that whole process. So I guess the idea is we sort of work together as they get ready. Now, no matter what age someone is, they need to think about their future, The earlier you start, the better. When you start, it's not about how much, it's the fact that you start. I've learned through the 30-some years that I've had in financial services that the best time to buy stocks is when you have money. The best time to invest is when you have money. Don't wait till you get a certain amount. Find a way to invest as early as possible, and then make it a habit, make it part of your budget, and keep going. Now, the stock market looks to be very volatile here in the third and fourth quarter, Alex. I believe people should keep investing and dollar cost averaging into it. What are your thoughts as the market does have volatility?
I would look at those volatility moves as points of entry if you don't have enough. Now, if you have all your money in stocks, in one type of stocks, that's a problem. You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. But asset allocation will allow you to deal with volatility because you're going to have things in your portfolio that zig when other things zag. And that allows you to be a buyer when things go down. But ultimately, Brian, through all the turbulence this year, I think the market will continue to go higher as the economy starts to reopen, things start to normalize, and inflation happens because stocks are denominated in dollars, and if their purchasing power is going down, companies are getting more dollars, so their prices go up. The value of the stock goes up as well as the dividend in some cases. So it's really the truest way to keep track or stay afloat with inflation.
And we believe a well-diversified portfolio. We do believe in active management. We believe in having a portfolio that's designed for the long run. We don't want to over-concentrate it in things like FANG stocks, things like that. You got to look at those things and have a proper proportion and make sure that you're not chasing money. Sometimes people do the opposite of what they really should do in stock market investing. When things go up, they want to buy more. When things go down, they get scared and nervous and they want to jump out. That causes them to buy at the high and basically sell at the low. And we recommend that you're doing the opposite, is that you think about it, try to take the emotions out of your investing. Dollar cost averaging does that by making you consistently invest and keep going. But also, you need to diversify, and maybe when the market's near an all-time high, maybe you want to take some winnings off the table and diversify, and the answer might be right now.
Yeah, and you don't want to get greedy. I know it's tough, and it doesn't matter what the guy that works next to you is doing. It doesn't matter what the other guy down the hall is doing. If they want to put all their money in one stock or one thing and they've done well, I sometimes question the truth to that because people don't usually come out and tell you, hey, I got my clock cleaned on this stock. They only tell you about the winners.
Yeah.
So,
well, every time they tell you about a winner, ask them, well, what other stocks do you own and what happened with those? Because sometimes the winners are offset by losers. It ends up with a net zero because of the reason you invest. When people try to invest to get rich, they don't get wealthy. So one of the most important things to do is to accumulate wealth is time, it's diversification, it's patience, it's building your money, saving your money consistently through the good and the bad, looking for volatility as a buying point, seeing the market up as a way of taking some profits to diversify. How do you build your wealth to provide for you and your legacy? That's what it is. It's a tool to build your retirement. These investments are not who you are. It's a tool that you can live off of. We believe strongly that taking the least amount of risk in retirement may be the absolute right thing to do, where you're not risking or have to go back to work because there was a big major pullback that you had all your money totally at risk.
And the way I try to set things up, and I know you do the same thing, Brian, is to put people in a scenario where they are never going to be forced to sell when they don't want to. So how does that happen? You have to have different places, different types of money to pull from so that you can own stocks. You can be aggressive with some portion of your money, and you have time. Time's the big deal there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we try to do at Acres Financial Group is we provide financial planning, then we implement that plan. Implementing that plan is we as brokers and investment advisors manage and work with you every year, just going through what's going on and managing that money and handling things and building it within your financial plan. This is before the accumulation, during retirement, and all the way through your retirement years is what solid financial advice gives you. What we want you to think about with this mid-year market review was last week was talking about the stock market. This week, the mid-year retirement review is things that can affect your retirement. Taxes, tax law changes, inflation, and are you using the tools of your retirement properly? And that's what this show's been all about. Alex, any final words as we close out the show?
Just find out where your money is. If you're unsure if it's the right place, call me.
Yeah, we can actually give Acres Financial a call at 833-WIN-RETIRE. Yeah, that's 833-WINRETIRE. Now, today's show, as we've been going through the retirement mid-year review, the idea is this: retirement is your plan. It's not already written for you. It is talking about your situation. A financial advisor comes alongside. So our team of advisors are built to help you come alongside, show you where you are now, and help you reach the goals that you have. So to schedule a free appointment to go over your situation, why don't you give us a call at 833-WIN-RETIRE. That's 833-WIN, WINRETIRE. When you call, if you leave a voice message, if you call right now, Susan will call you back on Monday, set up that virtual Zoom or in-person meeting, and then you'll be able to meet with one of our team of advisors. Go ahead and start right now. Give us a call, 833-946-7384, or go to our website at acresfinancialgroup.com. Thank you for listening. I'm Brian Akers from Akers Financial Group, and we want you to be winning in retirement.
You've been listening to Winning in Retirement with your host, Brian Akers of Akers Financial Group. Brian Akers of Akers Financial Group is a registered representative offering securities through Kalos Capital Incorporated and investment advisory services through Kalos Management Incorporated. Akers Financial Group is not an affiliate or subsidiary of Kalos Capital or Kalos Management and does not provide tax and legal services. Advice given on Winning in Retirement is general in nature, and one should seek further advice from their financial advisor, broker, attorney, or tax accountant before investing. Be sure to read each prospectus carefully to understand all the risks associated with each investment.